We are live again.
We are live again.
It's great to be back
Yep.
in action. And today I thought we'd open up with a real cool story about how you and I, door knocking, found an opportunity. And door knocking is something that, for me, I was 19 when we were doing it. This is 14 years ago or so. But it led to the acquisition of a building, the purchase of a property, which wasn't even what we were door knocking about. So
No.
maybe you can share with us how you remember it going down, and then I'll share with you how I remember it going down.
Okay. Sounds good. We should do also a video on, we've been together so long, how do you feel about
Putting
working
up with,
putting up with me. But what I remember about this is we were in the city of Azusa and we were working our insurance business. Okay. And, I had told you, hey, you know what? We need to door knock the neighborhood. And we went up and down Azusa Avenue because that's where all the commercial was there, and then we jumped over to the residential. And the way I remember it, we went by this real estate office. The gentleman's first name was Mike, but he was never there. And we went there a bunch of times. And I think that the number you and I agree on, we went there 16 times. It had become a joke.
Yeah.
We would go up to the front door, knock, and not expect anyone to open it. So the day that he opened the front door, it was like incredible. And so he ended up being a nice guy, and he allowed us to come in, and we started talking. And,
But to give context, we're there pitching insurance.
yeah, we're there pitching
And we're
insurance.
not only hitting that building, we were introducing ourselves to everybody in that community, Azusa, Southern California, right?
Right.
So we're just handing out cards, shaking hands, trying to connect with people. But every time we go to this building, it's either empty or a receptionist would open. Oh, he's not here. He's not here. And
Right,
it was a
you're
nice
right.
building. It wasn't an abandoned building.
No, it was a very nice building,
Yeah.
actually. 2-story, very pretty. Newer. I liked it.
And so finally, he opens up one day.
Correct. Go ahead.
Well, no, the way I remember is he opens up and he's like, hey, and but he was friendly.
Yes.
And we said, oh, we're local here. We have a business, insurance, this and that. And he let us in, and he let us sit down in his in that front desk.
Right.
And so the three of us sat there, and we just started talking about what we do and how we, can help on the commercial insurance and home and this and that. And then he got to know us a little bit. And then he said something that, he had bought a lot of really nice furniture, desks, but he was never able to really fill them up.
Develop his dream.
Yeah. His dream of having like a brokerage where he had a lot of agents working for him didn't really happen.
Right. The way we got to that, as I remember it, because this is a while back, is that he was interested in asking us about, marketing, because we were walking the streets, knocking on doors.
Right.
His marketing was completely different. His marketing was digital, emails, sending flyers, sending mailers. And he spent
a lot,
thousands of dollars on that. And that didn't work for him.
Mm.
So he says, it's interesting that you're doing this the old-fashioned way. Because this is what I did. And, and then that's when he said, my dreams have not come true here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's when I said, oh, really? Well, what were your dreams?
Right.
And that's when he said, well, my dreams were, and that's how he opened up to that.
Yeah, to have a brokerage and to have a lot of agents. And it was a really nice building.
Yeah, I loved it.
And then he started sharing with us. And then how do you remember it going down? Eventually, you end up buying this building.
Right.
So how did it go from us door knocking it and him talking to us a little bit to buying his building.
Well, I'm always looking for an opportunity in real estate. You know, that was ingrained in my DNA by, you know, when we got here, I remember my mom and dad talking, saying, well, we're in a country that is free. You know, we bought this little house. It belongs to us. There's no Fidel Castro here to take it away from us. So I always thought real estate, you know, if you bought it, you don't lose it in this country of opportunity. Anyway, so I've always looked at, you know, opportunities in real estate. And so when he told us about his dream not coming true, that is what they call a hot button, you know, in that person. And so I told him, well, you know, you have a beautiful place here. Because he alluded to the fact that he was going to retire and then potentially, you know, a few years down the line.
Yeah.
And I said, you have a beautiful place here. If you ever want to sell it, you know, I would be interested in buying it. And then that's how he delved a little bit further into his retirement idea. And he said, yeah, I'm not ready to sell this building yet. I'm going to retire in about 5 years. I don't start collecting my pension. He was an ex-police officer. I'm not going to be able to collect my pension for another 4 years or something like that. And you and I were working out of a very small little office.
Yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little difficult to get into. They had a front gate.
Yeah, it wasn't a good location for an office, but it worked for the time being.
It worked because we had just
starting.
gone, right. So we had started a new business venture between us.
And this was 2009 is what I remember. 2009,
2010.
Around there.
And so it wasn't conducive to bringing customers in that much. You know, I mean, it was clean. It was very clean and everything, but it was small. You know, only one big window on the side. So anyway, so I wanted to get out of there so that I could have an office that was more presentable, and I loved that. I liked the place. That's when I dropped that and I said, hey, if you ever want to sell it, and he says, well, I'm not ready for 4 years, and I said, well, what if we could do a deal? That, you know, we could do it now. I'm ready to buy now. And he said, I don't see how. I don't want to pay rent. And that's when I got the idea. And I said, okay, Mike, look, how about, since your business is unfortunately reduced a little bit, you know, how about if you use the second story for your business and you let me use the entire bottom story for my business with my agents, okay? And you don't pay rent for 2 years, okay? And that gets you closer to your goal. You sell your building, real estate has appreciated, so you're gonna make some money on it. You don't pay rent for 2 years, and then we'll talk about it at the end of 2 years and see where it goes. And he felt very comfortable with that. And lo and behold, 45 days later, we were closing escrow. Incredible.
Yeah.
It's, you know, by talking to people, by listening to people.
Right. I think that's it. You heard, and he was real cool with us, and he liked us.
Yeah.
You know, he loved the salsa music, I remember, you know. And it was cool because he was working there in the top story, and it was all connected, so it was a shared space, but he was upstairs. And so it was really cool. It was a good experience. And but yeah, you listened that he wasn't ready, this and that, but you offered a solution. Now, did he, when he sold it to you, did he end up, did you finance that? Did you?
Yeah, he carried a note for a while because it helped him too, not to get all the money up front.
So he did like a seller carry back.
Correct.
He did
you know, I gave him a good chunk
down payment, and then he carried the rest.
Correct.
Got it.
And he was a good man. And my mom was still alive. So I would bring her to the office. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah,
And it became like a family affair with Danny, Jenny,
yeah.
Cyrus. I can mention first names, It was great. And my mom would come. We had that couch in the kitchen, remember? And when my mom got tired, she would go over there and rest. But she was with us for lunch, and it was a big old...
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that was... Now that you mention it, once you got the building, it changed a lot of things, because now you're not just a new business, a new insurance agency. You own a building in the city.
Right.
So that was a big deal. I remember a lot of people looked at us differently.
They did.
Because to open an insurance office, you need a license. But maybe a small location you can rent or something. But once we were established and you had signs put up, it was a landmark. And the interesting thing about that street is that it's a one-way street.
Yes.
And it's the main avenue going north-south in that city. So you have to go through that avenue. I mean, unless you're taking side streets.
And the thing that I liked is it looked very pretty. And it was there are only 2-story buildings on that avenue.
Right.
Now there's more. But back then there were only 2. And so we were one of the 2.
So it stood out.
And I remember in our marketing, every time I made a presentation or anything like that, I made it a point to tell everybody, hey, look, we've set roots in this city.
Right.
We are local. Even if I was marketing to Alhambra, that's further away.
Well, a lot of our marketing
San
was
Dimas.
east. A lot of our marketing was Rancho.
Correct.
Out east.
Right. Covina.
Yeah.
So I would tell everybody, look, we're not going anywhere, okay? We're reliable. We stand behind what we're offering. And we've got roots in this town or in this locale, because this is our building. We're here to stay. Yeah. You can trust us. And that's why, people would look at us a little bit differently.
Right.
A little bit more stable, I would say. More stability.
More stability.
Yeah. And it was very, very interesting. And, one of the things that happened is that there were 2 real estate brokers from a big brokerage, commercial brokerage. One of the guys, that was his farming area. And he was all over the place there. Everybody knew who he was. I think that a lot of the business that went on in the city...
Went to that person?
Correct. Commercial speaking, okay? He was a commercial agent. And shortly after we closed Escrow, I think it was like maybe 90 days. Within 90 days, I got a call from him. And he said, hey, I noticed a transfer of title on this building. He would get notified. He had some kind of thing where, he would follow the transfer of titles on the commercial buildings. That was the big boulevard, right? And he called me up and he says, hey, I noticed a transfer of title. Because he had asked for the owner and they passed him to me. And I said, yeah, I bought the place. And he says, that's very interesting. I didn't see it go up on the multiple. I didn't see it go up for sale. And I said, no, it didn't. This was, I got the building door knocking. And he says, door knocking? And I said, yes. And we became acquaintances. He sent us a couple of policies. He was very interested in how, it slipped under the radar for him. Because that was his farming.
Right.
And he had it down. He would deliver, on the 4th of July, he would bring cookies and a little American flag, and he would definitely farm it. It was his. He felt,
his territory.
It was his territory, and he did a really, really good job. He was he's thorough. and this one slipped under the carpet, so to speak, because we were door knocking, so it was from owner to owner.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing that's the other day we got together with a buddy. He was saying, "What are you gonna?" Because we were gonna go to a real estate marketing event, and he was saying, "What are you doing at a real estate marketing event? How is that productive? How do you get business there or something?" Because
he would be surprised.
Well, look at how this is a broker who you could say, oh, the broker can list a property and put it on the MLS, but maybe in his eyes that wasn't the best thing, and that's a real estate broker. So how do you get business at a real estate marketing event or a real estate broker? Sometimes there's opportunities there that other people are not willing to take, or maybe people aren't listening, or maybe there's somebody that doesn't want to list a property. That's one thing that is really open, because we like dealing a lot in the off-market arena of real estate, because that's where a lot of times a lot of opportunities are and creative deals are made, right?
Yes.
And so but how do you...
Well, you got your deal off-market.
Off-market. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that just from my perspective, deals can be on the market, on the multiple listing, or they could be off. It's just when it's off, you're dealing personal.
Correct.
When it's dealing on the market, you're dealing with an agent, and that's different. If you can talk to the source directly, that's, I think, from a negotiating standpoint, if you're a strong negotiator, I think that's a better thing.
It's a better thing. It's hard to say.
It's hard to say
because
better for who and
so forth and so on. It can definitely, whether it's off market or not, the best way to go about it, if to look at it so that there's a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, some people are fed up with renters dealing with all the issues that renting a property brings. Broken toilets at 3 a.m, broken shower hits, broken doors. It rains, it leaks under. These are issues.
Management.
Yeah, the management of the property. Some people are just done with it.
Yeah.
And so that creates an opportunity for somebody else that's willing to take that on, right? Because the first thing they'll say is, no, I want to sell it.
Yeah.
Like the property we saw this weekend, you weren't with me, but, in a beautiful area, comparables are at about 800,000 plus. This thing is selling for a lot less. Now, it needs work, but a lot less. That's an opportunity for someone that's willing to pick up that property and do the little work and by the way, I think it's mostly cosmetic. Now, we haven't done an inspection, but
some people don't want to do that work, or
correct.
don't have the time to. Right.
They want turnkey, right?
But the idea of door knocking and the fact that we actually, because we've shared this story before with a lot of different people, and a lot of people are in shock that we found a deal door knocking.
Yeah.
Again, we weren't pitching to buy the building.
No,
we were pitching insurance.
Right.
We're trying to sell insurance, and they end up selling you the building. So it's just interesting, because I think also it's being open to and receptive to different opportunities that may arise. Like not that long ago, no, it's over a year already, we were pitched an opportunity for a business to buy into an insurance business, and we passed on that business. But that's not necessarily, it's just, you got to be open.
It hasn't sold yet.
And it hasn't sold yet. Things are changing.
Let's see what happens.
So, but I think that if you go in with it's good to be focused, but if you go in and you're not listening, and you're not open to that opportunity of planting that seed, it would have never happened.
Correct. Well, you just never know what's going to happen in that interaction. That's why I look at every day as when you wake up in the morning. I was reading this thing where this guy is super motivated. He's got a ton of energy. And he says, I don't just get off my bed. I leap I leap out of my bed, you know? And he's just super energetic human being. But one of the things that he said that I really totally agree with is that every day, every single morning is a new beginning.
Yeah.
Because the guy that told you no yesterday could potentially say yes today. I've lived it. I have lived it, you know? So the idea is, hey, you know, the winning formula is be courteous to everybody. You know, the good Lord gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So that means you don't talk that much.
Yeah.
And you listen more.
Yeah.
That's been very difficult for me to do, being Cuban and all, you know, we talk a lot. But listen. Listen to the person, because tremendous opportunities could be there.
Yeah.
And you got to listen, be respectful, and, you know, you don't gouge people either.
Right.
You know? And then you develop a reputation. You know, we have a very good reputation. You know, people trust us. And that comes about with time. And they do for a reason, because we're not here to, you know, take advantage of people. We want to make money, okay? And but I think we're pretty fair.
Yeah, and I think the approach in whether it's door knocking, but specifically door knocking, we shared on it the other day a little bit, where you knock and you take a couple steps back.
Well,
you know, and
yeah, sometimes 10 steps.
Yeah, you take several steps back. You
Not
give
just
the
a couple.
person space. You know, maybe your hands in front. It's a calm and gentle demeanor.
Yes.
You're not an aggressive person, you know, like that. I mean, I guess everyone has their style, right?
I'm not knocking anybody.
But that's the approach that was used here, you know, because I remember, I mean, I was 19, so I was a lot younger.
Well, you lived it with me. This is not a textbook thing you read. You saw it. You saw it happen.
Right.
I remember you coming to me one time later on in life, and you go, when we were talking about this, and you said, I can't believe it. I mean, if I had not lived it, Dad, because, you know, it's kind of like a textbook. You know, you go door knocking for insurance. You end up buying the building 45 days later.
Yeah. No, and at 19, I didn't even want to be door knocking. I didn't want, it was uncomfortable, you know? People are shooing you away. People are, you know, you never know who you're getting. For some reason, there's a fear, and I guess you just have to get over it, but there's this fear, like, of rejection sometimes.
Sure.
Maybe there are people in life that don't have that. But yeah, at 19, you know, I don't want to be door knock. I don't want to be, you know, pitching the business, this and that. But I did say I would join you on that business and be partners.
Well, you wanted to buy a truck. You wanted to go out.
I had my truck back then.
Oh, you had your truck already. Okay, well.
But yeah, I wanted to make money and I wanted to grow a business. And so when we joined forces back then, I was like, hey, well, we got to make some money, right?
Right.
So we have to do it. But no, it's a cool story, and I think that, and we've continued to door knock to a certain extent, walking into businesses, approaching different people, making different connections, and it has led to other opportunities.
Absolutely.
So it's not something that only worked back then, and no, it's still working, and we do other things like mailers and calls and stuff too.
We do.
Yeah.
But we did a video, and I forget which one it is now, but you know, we were talking about, you know, I've been in business for a long time, and before the internet, I didn't have the luxury and you know, pressing a button and, you know, sending out 10,000 emails or requesting flyers or digital advertising. You know, there's something to be said about that, because yes, it is a numbers game. Okay? It is. But you know what? It's very impersonal.
Right.
So everything has a plus and a negative. How many people get emails a day? I get so many emails a day that it, to a certain extent, I mean, it's bothersome sometimes,
Yeah.
you know.
Door knocking is a lot more personal, but
You're limited.
yes, you're limited, and it could also be seen as a little more invasive because now you're coming up to
Correct.
their property. But it's just whatever approach. But it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
It worked in this situation.
In this case. Now, one of the things that I try to do is, you know, I drop little comments like, oh, I like that, you know, if you ever want to do this or if you ever want to do that, you know, and I leave like a little seed. And then if that person, for example, a couple of the deals we're working on right now has come from loan officers. And
Yeah.
why? Because we said, you told this particular gentleman, this is your, we're looking for something like this. And it almost like fit the plate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the kid said, hey, you know, well, he's not a kid, but he's young. You know, everybody's young compared to me. He doesn't have any gray hairs. He said, hey, you know, I know a place.
Yeah.
One of the owners that I work for. And boom, there you go.
It's all about relationships.
Yeah.
The reputation that you touched on, and then putting yourselves out there. And letting people know what you're looking for, what you're doing. Like the other day, we went to go visit our friends in Montebello, and it was cool. It was really cool, and I hadn't seen some of them in a long time. But they say,
Well, they treated you like family.
Yeah, they're good people.
Yeah.
They're good people, and they say, I see what you're doing on Instagram, on here, on there. And that's the thing, is that social media is a way of marketing. And letting people know what you're up to.
Correct.
You know, you could also use it for other purposes, but we'll wrap it up with what Grandpa used to say. In Spanish, he would say, "El que no se anuncia no se vende."
Good luck. How do you translate that?
He who doesn't market themselves will not sell themselves.
Okay, good. Hey, that's very good.
And we'll wrap it up there.
Sounds good. I like that. Thank you.